Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of LFC Transfer Room Saturday night stream. It's the Leicester versus Liverpool match preview, and we're 6 points to go between us and lifting that 20th Premier League title. I'm joined tonight by Neil. It's been a couple of Saturdays since we've actually done a match preview, isn't it? And it's great to be back. And also, with 6 points to go, it is a matter of if rather than when. When rather than if, that way around. Yeah, that's good. See, it's been a while. We're a bit rusty, or I certainly am. I'm sure Neil's not. How are you, Neil?
Yeah, I'm all right, thank you. I'm all right, thank you. So looking forward to the game tomorrow. I'm hoping for a stress-free afternoon. Because after watching last week, it all got a little bit tetchy towards the end. Obviously after West Ham scored, so I'm hoping for a stress-free afternoon. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, West Ham played really well, actually. They deserved that second goal, but I'm glad that Van Dijk made amends, really, between the mix-up between him and Robbo.
Yeah.
I think, listen, I don't want to write Leicester off because we know how Leicester can play. They've not really shown it a lot this season. But with it being at Leicester, I suppose that there is that added pressure. I think Leicester probably are resigned to the fact they're going down. So every game's a big game to try to restore some dignity. So let's not write them off just yet. They don't pose, I don't think, the same threats as West Ham. But I would expect Leicester to pick a bit of a fight, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would think so. Although I've, some of their home games recently, I've watched them, and they've been out the game by, 30 minutes into the game, or at least by half time, and I think they set the record for not scoring in something like 8 consecutive home games. But then when you look at when Arsenal went there, they were a lot more stubborn, and I think they held out for sort of 80 minutes. So it's difficult. It's difficult to know what to expect. It's obviously a game that we should be going there to win, and we should get the 3 points. But nothing seems easy at the moment as we try and get over the line. So all 3 games since after the international break, Everton was a tough game. Obviously, we just edged it. Fulham, we had a mad 15-20 minutes where we got punished. And then West Ham last week, we're a little bit fortunate to come away with the win after that second half performance. So, yeah, it should be a game that we win and win comfortably, but take nothing for granted at the moment.
If Leicester do lose, they'll be the first team in top flight history to lose 9 successive home league games without scoring. So if Liverpool do manage to keep a clean sheet, which they don't come by too often, do they, at the minute, Liverpool clean sheets? But yeah, I mean, this is what I mean. Leicester are absolutely playing for things like that. They've earned just 8 points from 19 matches under Van Nistelrooy as well. He's going to go down in history as being potentially, dare I say, one of the least impactful managers for a relegation threatened club. He's not really done a lot. So there's all of these separate narratives that is working against Leicester. And again, those Leicester players, there's some good Leicester players in there. Some half decent players. Facundo Buonanotte, he's back. Obviously, he couldn't play last week against Brighton, against his parent club. He's a good player. So again, all of these things, Leicester also know they're going to be relegated if they fail to beat Liverpool, or if West Ham and Wolves both win. Now, obviously, West Ham drew today. So again, that opens it slightly up a little bit, I think. Southampton are already down, but it's one of those that they can actually be relegated if they lose as well. So again, they're gonna have to come out and fight for it and show some fight for the fans.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, their fans have been they've had it tough, haven't they? And
yeah.
As you say, then I'm surprised Van Nistelrooy is still there. Because I'm not sure I can see him being there next season. So with them virtually already relegated, and it just being confirmed, I thought they might just get rid like Southampton did. So I think much depends on how the game starts and the first goal in the game. Because I think if we get out of the blocks and we can get an earlyish goal, then the crowd starts. Any enthusiasm that they can whip up in the crowd will be dampened a little bit. So I think it's really important to start the game fast on the front foot and try and kill the game off as early as possible. The longer it goes on, the more encouragement you give them. They may be able to dig in. But as I say, it's a game that we should be winning and winning well.
And we played really well against West Ham in that first half. I thought we could have had a couple more goals. And I think like you said, quite rightly, if Leicester carry on, they've conceded at least 2 goals in 8 of their past 9 Premier League games. So again, if those floodgates open early doors, Liverpool can cruise in that second half where we have struggled a bit. I do think, the legs aren't quite there in that second half compared to the first half. Hopefully it'll be a relaxed watch after 45 minutes. Because again, like you quite rightly said, the longer it goes on without a goal or us being ahead, the more and more edgy it gets. Now, not in terms of the Premier League title, but just in terms of the result overall. Leicester away is a game you want to be winning as Premier League champions.
Yeah.
So Liverpool have to, in my opinion, Liverpool absolutely have to win tomorrow, regardless. Liverpool could be crowned champions tomorrow if Ipswich beat Arsenal as well. Yeah. So regardless of that, I think Liverpool have to beat Leicester. Let's talk about the back line then, because Arne Slot said that Trent Alexander-Arnold, who hasn't played since the 11th of March, is back in training. He could feature, but he won't start. So obviously we fully expect Conor Bradley to come in. Now, for me, with all of the noise going on and Gravi Naga, amazing last name, by the way, we will get onto that, asks about Trent's news about the departure. And it depends what you look at on Twitter. There are now some rumours that he might be looking to stay. If Trent is fit, 10 minutes away from home is probably the best way to bleed him back in. Hopefully as well if we're winning. Because I think if you throw him in at home with all of this noise going around, with Salah and Van Dijk, who knows what kind of reception he's going to get, right?
No, absolutely. And I think, as you say, away from home, the away support was a fantastic. It would make sense, as long as the game's going well, for him to, maybe even 20, 25 minutes. We're still, Conor Bradley still coming back from injury, which is why he had to come off after 60 minutes last week. So it does seem like the perfect opportunity to do it, as you say, away from home against Leicester, and then see what happens in the next week. Because there seems to be quite a lot of noise about it. And when Real Madrid went out on Wednesday of the Champions League, I think everyone was expecting a barrage of Trent. The Trent deal's done. But the rumour mill is kind of suggesting that there may still be a
Gerrard moment.
A twist in the tale. So, he may be that he's probably still favouring going to Real Madrid, but there may be more of a chance than we expected a few weeks ago. So, yeah, I think he can play. He can get some minutes tomorrow. The away support, as I say, is fantastic, and then hopefully there'll be some news, one way or the other in the week that follows. We've had Salah's news, we've had Van Dijk's news, so this is the last one of the most urgent ones that need to be resolved. So, but that news coming out, if he is moving, they might save it until the end of the season.
And I do think, again, it depends what you read, isn't it? There's so much over the social media, so much over different channels. It will certainly strengthen his resolve and perhaps help him in his decision that, 2 of the best players to ever pull on the shirt in Van Dijk and Salah are staying. That might sway him. That might convince him a little bit as well. So, or like you said, just complete radio silence from now until the end of the season, whatever's going to happen, especially if he's going to Madrid, because nothing is going to ruin, that parade perhaps for him. If he is going to Madrid, I would not be surprised one jot to have it announced after that parade.
Possibly, yeah. Yeah, to be honest with the contract stuff, I've given up predicting things. I don't think anyone would have thought that we'd have been in April before we got news on any of the big 3. So who knows? Could go either way. Hopefully, it lands that he stays with us. and it's one less area to address in the summer.
I think sorry, I'm just getting like a light beam shining down. It's my cover on my Mac. It just looks like I'm an angel, doesn't it? Like all of the light shining down over me.
We know you're not. So
exactly. So I'll try and get rid of it. Talk about the rest of the back line then. There you go. Nope, still not there. Don't know what it is. I must just be the holy scouser or something. Talking about the rest of the back line then. Konate, Virgil, and who are you going? Robbo or Simi?
I think he'll probably go back to Robbo. Simicast was actually on the pitch for the better part of our performance last week. I don't think he was brilliant. I don't think he was poor. He did okay. Robbo obviously came on. I personally don't blame Robbo for the goal because I think he's given a nice loud call. And Verge's, again, tried to take responsibility without possibly realising that Robbo's about to come into his space. So I think he'll go back to Robbo. I think it was right to take him out because I think he'd played particularly poorly against Fulham. He'd given the goal away with a reckless pass. So it could, again, it's one that you think you wouldn't be surprised either way, but largely Robbo appears to be the first choice. So I think it will be him, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was Costas.
Yeah, and Konate's got 1 year left. And if he doesn't sign after this summer, I don't know about you, but I really don't want another contract fiasco. I think if he's not going to sign this summer, then we should potentially look to move him on as well. Yeah,
so I don't think I think very few people would want to see him go.
No.
Because he's obviously a massive part of that back four. On his day, he's a top-class defender, and the two of them together are fantastic. But there's also the business side of it where we have to protect our investment. And we've seen this year, and we might see with Trent that it might hurt us that we're going to lose out on a transfer fee for him should he go. So it may be that in the summer, if the signs are not positive, that a deal is about to be or a renewal is close to being agreed, we may have to look to sell, which would be a shame really because he's still a young defender and still exceptionally talented. So, but yeah, I wouldn't. It's not off the cards that he will be sold because, as you say, we don't want to get in the same situation again.
No, and I think, like you say, with that left back position, we know that hopefully every finger and toe crossed that we're going to improve in that position. So it could be an audition of sorts as to who stays as well. So let's see. That midfield, then Liverpool's midfield, it's tried and tested. I think it's too tried and tested. I think you can see Gravenberch when it hits about 50, 60 minutes now, he's not the same type of player that we've seen. I can see him and McAllister certainly starting. I think McAllister is again had a phenomenal season. For £35 million, that's one of Liverpool's best signings in the decade. Because it's peanuts in this day and age. And for 2 seasons now, he's been consistently brilliant. Whether he's playing at the 6, whether he's playing in an 8 or slightly higher up. In not quite a 10 role, he's almost like that 8-10 hybrid, just behind either Szoboszlai or Jones, whoever was playing there. I know Mac obviously played there. He's been absolutely sensational. Is it Szoboszlai or is it Jones? Because it's probably not going to be Elliott.
Yeah, so I think based on what we've seen, Harvey Elliott probably has got no chance of starting the game. So,
which is so strange, but
it is, and that we could have a long conversation about that. But there's definitely the 4 midfielders out of probably the 6 that we have. So Endo and Harvey Elliott, unfortunately, aren't getting many minutes at all, and certainly not from the start of games now that we're out the cups. So it very much comes down to 3 out of the 4. I thought it worked quite well last week. And again, I felt it was right for Szoboszlai to come out of the team because I think he's been playing quite poorly. And I thought Jones did okay. Jones seems to suffer So when the team starts to suffer is when you get Jones reverting to his old habits of holding on to the ball too long, and then people get on his back. But I think whilst we were dominating, whilst we were playing well, the three of them actually worked quite well together. Totally agree with you about McAllister. Fantastic player, brilliant ball player, but I think a lot of his work that goes unnoticed sometimes is how combative he is in there.
He puts himself about, doesn't he, as well? He takes some kicks.
Thiago used to be a bit like that as well. It was all about, everyone said what a great footballer he was, but he also put himself about a lot as well. So I think Gravenberch and McAllister for sure, and then I'm 75% sure that he'll stick with Jones, because I think he pointed out himself last week, Slot, that he's been playing reasonably well. So I'd probably stick with Jones.
And that allows McAllister to play slightly higher, doesn't it? Whereas Szoboszlai is that 10 and does run and press. McAllister isn't the same presser, but when he plays slightly higher up, you see what's really strange is that you see McAllister shooting from range and you don't see it from Szoboszlai. And Szoboszlai's got a banger of a foot on him.
Yeah.
Again, it's baffling. Now, whether or not he's been told don't shoot, well, why does McAllister?
Yeah.
You know, so there's that one to have as well. But yeah, it does allow McAllister to play slightly higher, I think, if Jones can play. And I do prefer McAllister in a slightly higher role.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Szoboszlai has had a very important impact on our season. And there have been times where he's been so important to the team, sometimes away from home. So away at Tottenham, I thought he was outstanding. Away at Man City, it was very, very good. But at times, he just seems to get lost and seems to be a bit confused about when he's on the ball, as you say, what is he being asked to, be risk adverse, not make expansive passes, not hit long shots, because as you say, we've seen he's got a banger of a shot on him and we don't see it. We hardly ever see it. So we saw it in the first season. He got a brilliant goal in the League Cup against Leicester. I think it was against.
It was a great goal, yeah.
But we see it from McAllister. Why do we not see it from him? Is it the way he's being told to play? Is it his confidence? I just don't know. So I'm a bit. I think he's, the role that he's playing or has played over the last few weeks isn't suiting him at all, and I think his decision making's off. He's a difficult one for me because over the past few weeks, I think he's been quite poor.
Yeah, it's been frustrating to watch over the past few weeks, and he did have a purple patch where Arna said in the middle of the season he needs to add his numbers, and he did. He went on and he scored a couple of goals actually, and he assisted a few as well. And then he seems to have just gone back again. It was a bit of a purple patch, and I think that's what the frustration is, because when you spend quite a lot of money on a Dominic Szoboszlai and you've seen him, like a lot of Liverpool fans did in the Bundesliga, lighting it up, and we think this is again, you shouldn't use the term regen, but like a regen of Stevie G. That's what he looked like, a pressing machine, an absolute, fitness freak. And he had one hell of a shot on him, and he could score goals, and he scores free kicks for fun. And we haven't really seen that. We've certainly not seen it consistently enough, and that's where the frustration is. And, sometimes when he gets tackled and he throws himself on the floor, that for me is like a cardinal sin if you're wearing that red shirt. I hate seeing it. I absolutely hate seeing people throw themselves on the floor, especially when they got the ball and they're moving forward and they get a nudge and then they go down. When they could have carried on with the ball, it's like, you are built like Zeus. You must have like a body of a god.
Yeah.
And you're rolling around on the floor like a wet paper bag, like you just absolutely, disheveled. And that's a real big frustration for me. I want him to be a Joel Linton type. I want him to be knocking people down. I want him to have a snarl on his face, and I want him to be getting in people's faces, not flicking his hair and rolling around on the floor.
Yeah, no, I think you said it perfectly. He is a frustrating player, or he is at the moment a frustrating player. The only thing is he's still relatively young, isn't he? So
yeah.
Maybe it will come, but
just more aggression.
Yeah.
The front line, again, I think apart from the middle that we'll get through, you've obviously got Mohamed Salah, who is absolute sensation. He's had a quiet couple of games, let's say. I think he's due a big game, and I think Leicester might give him a big game. He needs 2 more assists this season to equal the Premier League record of 20, which is obviously shared by the great Thierry Henry and Kevin De Bruyne. If he goes 3, obviously he has the assist record to go with the abundance of other records. He's already got the most ever in a 38 game season, the highest goal and assist tally. So again, if he adds a couple more assists, he's got the assist tally as well. He's absolutely phenomenal. I don't think there are enough words to describe him, and I don't think there are enough words to do that man justice. The fact that, and you can say the same for Verge, they were pushing all year for that contract. I remember, I think it was the Anfield Wrap where they actually called people over. They actually called the guys who run Anfield Wrap, who were filming after the game, over because they wanted to get their point across. We want to stay here. We want this contract.
Yeah.
And at the minute, I'm more out than in. And that's obviously where the moniker was. And they've obviously flipped it around. Good bit of PR from the Liverpool team.
It was after the Southampton game, I think. Salah had scored 2, hadn't he? So we were 2-1 down, and Salah scored 2, and we won 3-2. And it was after that he made a rare appearance in front of the media.
Yeah, so, and not even not even media, is it? It's podcasting, and it's YouTube streaming, and it's Twitter.
Yeah.
So it showed. I think that to me showed how much they wanted to stay, both of them.
Yeah, and I think that's been evident, hasn't it, with the two of them, that they love the club, and there's no doubt. There's been no doubt. I've never felt that they wanted to leave, and it would have been heartbreaking to see either of them go when they would have wanted to stay. Had they wanted to move away, fine, but they both wanted to stay, and thankfully, it's now been sorted for at least another 2 years.
Yeah, and hopefully he can go on to break those records because he definitely deserves it. On the left, I've really been impressed with Luis Diaz, who, again, another one who's caught quite a lot of flack this year, for not being his electric self. And I think that's the best way to describe him. When he first came in that January window, that's the way I described him. He is electric. He's just absolute jack-in-the-box fun. And we've seen that since. I think, the past few weeks, I've really enjoyed his performances. I think he's been a real bright spark. So it's whether or not, though, you play him in the centre, because Jota is a mile off it. Nunez, again, news out today from Romano is that he's basically 1 foot out the door. And again, where he goes is wherever. He's obviously back from illness. He's not at it. So do you play Diaz through the middle and Gakpo on the left? Or do you stick with Diaz on the left because you know how clinical in terms of, again, electricity and running speed that he is? Do you take something away if you put him in the middle? Because I quite liked his performances in the middle, but he is naturally a left winger.
Yeah, so I think there has been a lot of frustration with him this season, but I think he had a really good start to the season, and he was scoring goals. He got the hat trick against, I think it was it Leverkusen. He got the hat trick against, and then he had a real dip where there was no goals, no assists for after the start of the new year. But the last few weeks, as you say, he's really come on again. And the difference in his game is I think he's looking to be direct. And when he's direct, he is unplayable for
much better, yeah.
And he had, last week I saw, him lining up against Wan-Bissaka, and Wan-Bissaka is a really good one-on-one defender, and he caused him problems. So for me, I would leave him there, and I would stick with Jota. I actually thought first half last week, Jota dropping deep. He found some intelligent positions that allowed Salah and Diaz to run in behind Salah on numerous occasions. So I think with Diaz in the form he is, I'd leave it. There's a case. I mean, Cody Gakpo had done very little wrong prior to his injury, and he probably deserves to get back in the team. So as you say, there's an option to switch it, but I don't think he will, and I don't think I would. I think I'd leave it as it is, because he obviously sees something in Jota that he's doing that he quite likes. And with Jota, you never know. He went over a year without scoring, didn't he, at one stage, and then he suddenly gets on a run. So let's hope if he does start, that something clicks in him, and he does get off on a run again. But I'd leave it, and then if things aren't working out, then I'd get Gakpo on, and we shouldn't forget Chiesa either. So he came on in the Carabao Cup final, had an impact, scored a goal, came on against Fulham, looked quite lively. So I think there's also a case for Chiesa getting a look in, but again, like
it's strange, isn't it? Like, yeah, it's just I just don't think he fits in Slot's plan. Same as Elliott, same as Quansah, and it's really strange that you can quite clearly see, like I said, Jota isn't at it, Nunes isn't at it. Yeah. Why not put Chiesa there? But there does seem a bit of a reluctance to do that. Same as when Szoboszlai has played poor, there are a reluctance to put Elliott there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels strange, especially with those two. I get Quansah because you've got Konate and Virgil ahead of them, and Gomez when he's fit, I suppose. Yeah. It's a bit of a toss of a coin. But with Chiesa and Elliott, I can't find a reason other than they don't play the way Slot wants to play, or they don't fit into his plans in the way they want the system to work. Why they don't play?
Yeah, so we've had a fantastic season. We should be winning the league at a canter, and I think that has exceeded everybody's expectations. It feels a bit anticlimactic because of the way we're running in, and it's just a matter of time. It seems like a matter of time before we get the job done. Now, if we were looking for things that we'd like to see done a bit differently from the head coach as he is, it would be showing a bit more trust in the squad players that he's got. And I don't think Harvey Elliott, Endo, he's shown much faith in them at all, and they're better. They're good players. These are good professionals and good players. Chiesa another one. So it's we're being picky. We're probably gonna win the league. It's just the one thing that we'd like to see done differently next season, especially if those players are still at the club.
Yeah, I mean, if they're still at the club, they either couldn't find suitors, which I wouldn't believe, because I think both of them are quality players, or they just refuse to move if they're still not getting played. But again, something's got to be done. There's so much talent there for both of them. I mean, we'll see in the summer, because I do think Chiesa he's available and it's really cheap, and even if it goes wrong, we could probably sell him to make our money back or make a profit, which I do think Liverpool would make a profit now. I think barring the Plymouth game where everybody was terrible, maybe that's why. Maybe Slot's still not really forgiven that performance, has he? He brought it up last week, didn't he? It's presser. So maybe that's why. Maybe it's like, no, everybody who's in that game, no more. So apart from that, though, I think Chiesa's been bright, as is Elliott as well, and I'd certainly be using them off the bench in the last 20 more often than what he has. But listen, he's about to win the league. What do I know? Like you say, it completely surpassed all expectation. I was looking actually at when people were like, "Oh yeah, well, it's been an underwhelming season, etc." It's like, yeah, because Liverpool and Arne Slot especially just produced a masterclass. They've lost 2 games all season. They've been absolutely phenomenal. And like you said, it feels anticlimactic because we've just won it at a canter. There's no drama. Everyone knows we could win it by tomorrow. So that's not to be sniffed at, because we've waited so long. In 30 years we hadn't won it, and now we're going to win it twice in 5. That's amazing.
Exactly.
Absolutely incredible. So I take nothing away, and this isn't criticizing at all. Like you said, we're about to win the league. It's just things that we could do, differently to retain it. Liverpool haven't retained the league.
I think that's one of the things that I'm really positive about, is we could win this league by 10, 15 points. And there are many, many areas where we think we can improve. Which has only got to be a positive going forward.
It is crazy, to think that as well, because like you said, there's so many things that we can pick out and say, this needs improvement. We need a new left back. We need another centre back. We need a centre midfield. We need a better 9. With 13 points ahead of second place, with 32 games played, lost 2 games, in the league all season. Yes, the Plymouth result was annoying. I think, PSG, I thought they played really well over the 2 legs. They probably deserved to go through.
Yeah, I would agree.
you know, and then we got beaten in a final of a Carabao Cup. You know, it's one hell of a first season. And I look back on the BBC pundits' predictions. Not one out of their 30 predicted Liverpool to win the league, and only 2 predicted them to come second place.
Exactly.
You know, nobody expected this. Absolutely nobody. So it's a phenomenal achievement. Speaking of phenomenal achievements as well, Liverpool are looking for their 6th consecutive win over Leicester. Can you remember the last time Leicester beat us?
Was
it the Vardy goal?
We lost at their place, didn't we? I think 2-0, and he got that goal.
It was amazing.
Was Mignolet in goal that day?
It probably was.
No, I tell you when it was. It was in 2021-22 season, when we got 92 points and we lost 1-0 at their place. Salah missed a penalty, I think.
Oh, really?
They beat us 1-0. We had shot after shot. I don't know how we didn't get anything from the game, but I think that was it. I think we lost 1-0 and Mo missed a penalty that day.
I just remember losing, because the Vardy volley, I think, was the one where they actually won the league.
Yeah.
That volley / half volley, whatever you want to call it, there was a debate about that as well, which I found really interesting. It was actually a volley. Did you know that? By the laws of what is a half volley and a volley, even though the ball bounced, because it was at its high point and coming back down, it's classed as a volley, even though it bounced. So I didn't know that.
See, I think a true volley is one where you hit it without it.
Hit first time, that's what I
thought.
Half
volley is one where you hit it as it hits the ground.
Yeah, but that's like Thiago's half volley against Porto, wasn't it? It was that Porto goal that absolute rocket. That's a half volley for me as well. But that's the one that always sticks in my mind, is that Jamie Vardy absolutely brilliant goal.
I'm sure Mignolet was in goal, so you're right. It probably was their title season. But I'm sure in 2020, I'm just looking now, I'm sure in 2021-22, we absolutely played them off. Yeah. April the 18th. Oh no, that's not the one. Bear with me. Yeah, 28th of December 2021. Adamola scored. It was 1-0. Salah had a 15-minute penalty saved by Kasper Schmeichel and headed the rebound off the bar. And I think at that point, that was a shocking result at the time, because I think they were down the bottom of the league. So hopefully we won't have the same tomorrow.
No. Would you, and again, this is a little bit of a privileged question, would you take winning the league tomorrow, or would you rather it be against Spurs next week? Because if Arsenal win and we win, we're 3 points away, which means we just need to beat Tottenham. It is at Anfield. Or would you be more than happy Arsenal lose to Ipswich and we wrap it up tomorrow, therefore winning it within 33?
So haven't we got? I think there's a scenario, because Arsenal play Palace in the week.
Yes, that's true. So, that would be the worst. That would be the worst, wouldn't it? I don't want that again.
That's the last choice. We want to be playing to win it. So, my preference. Well, I'm going to try and go to the Tottenham game, so it'll probably be my preference to win it then. But I'm not going to turn down the opportunity if it is on offer tomorrow. I just don't want it. I want it to be when we're playing.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I was thinking as well. I thought that earlier because we won it last time when it was Chelsea, wasn't it? Chelsea beat Man City. And obviously they were all in the garden, someone's garden watching it. And I was like, I loved it because it was the first one. And I was cheering every single Chelsea goal, but I would like to win it whilst we're playing. I want us to decide when we win it.
I agree. If it's tomorrow, great. If it's next week, fantastic. It'd be nice to win it. Well, I think it's nice for the away fans if they win it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Those that follow them all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it would be special at Anfield.
Yeah, but just not midweek. I just don't want it to be, because Arsenal drop points at home to Crystal Palace.
And that could very well happen with Arsenal, obviously, coming up against PSG. You know, Ruben Amorim said, didn't he, that, you know, he's basically Europa League is the focus and he's just going to play youngsters in the league. And why not? It makes absolute sense. If I was a Man United fan, which heaven forbid I'm not, I'd be saying exactly the same thing. You know, if we were in that position, I'd be like, yes, you save Mohamed Salah and Virgil van Dijk and Alexis McAllister and you play them in Europe. I don't think Arteta does that. I think he's too stubborn for it. So I don't think he will do do that. Obviously, it depends how tomorrow goes, because Ipswich could easily take a point.
Yeah, again, I think it depends how the game kind of goes. I mean, they've got in a bad habit, Ipswich, of throwing leads away.
Yeah.
But they will need to get in front if they're going to get anything from the game. And again, it's about, can they get the home crowd up? But I think Arsenal will probably be all right tomorrow. But he'll make some changes. And then I think Palace have got the FA Cup semi-final next week, so they might rest some players on Wednesday as well. So,
well, they were down to 10 men, weren't they? They actually did really well, down to 10 men, and still drawing against Bournemouth. So they hooked Eze at half time. So again, he'll be, fairly rested. Mateta's still coming back from injuries, and he came off for Nketiah. So they might do it, but Palace have been on a pretty woeful run. Conceding. Obviously, they didn't concede today. They did well today.
10 in the last two, I think I heard.
10 in two, yeah.
And that was after a really good run of form as well, because they've been playing really well. So
football's funny. Like, it is funny. Anything could happen. Like, I wouldn't have expected Villa to pump 4 past Newcastle today.
No, especially after what happened in midweek. And then they played well, Villa. They played really well.
Yeah. Watkins, I thought was really good again. He looked back to his best yet from last season.
So I think probably Rashford coming in as I think I saw a brief interview with Watkins after the game, and he was saying that he doesn't like being left out. So it's obviously
it's good.
And a lot of people always say that you can't do business in the January transfer window, but Asensio's been almost a revelation, because I think he's got 8 or 9 goals. Rashford's come in, he's scored some goals, and he's obviously
assisted straight off the bat as well. Got a few assists.
Yeah, and has obviously now spurred Watkins on. And Marlon is a danger late in games when he comes off the bench. So it just shows that some business can be done in January and make a difference to a team season. And they were going for it on multiple fronts as well, weren't they? So they've obviously got the FA Cup still, and they're vying for a Champions League place and probably look good for it.
Yeah, they do. I think those Champions League places are really interesting. Obviously, it's really the only thing that's left in the Premier League, isn't it? Because relegation's confirmed, champions are confirmed.
Exactly, yeah.
And especially because they're top 5, 5 spots. One's obviously sealed. I'd probably say Arsenal is sealed as well, and City. Yeah. They've got a nice run of fixtures. Manchester City, they've got Southampton, haven't they? And Wolves in the next 2. Obviously, no game next week. But so you'd think City are there as well, and then that leaves your Forests, your Villas, your Newcastles, and very slight chance of a Chelsea. So there's 2 spots for 4 teams.
Yeah, I think if you were to pick it at the moment, you'd probably say Newcastle and Villa, because Forest have hit a bad run of form. Although they've got Spurs on Monday, so.
Got a game in hand, haven't they? And also, how nice is it that we're sitting here not worrying about Liverpool qualifying for the Champions League like we did for so many years? We need top 4, we need top 4. And, I'd said right at the start of the season, with Klopp gone, Slot coming in, nothing in the window whatsoever apart from Chiesa. It's a transition season. We just need to get Champions League, and then Slot needs to build. And again, how nice is it that we're like, do you know what? Yeah. Like, we're waiting to be crowned champions for the 20th time.
Yeah, exactly. And I hope this now gives us the sort of foundation where we now kick on, we strengthen, and we look to win big trophies over the next certainly 2 years when we've got Salah and Van Dijk around. So the summer's big for me, because if there are players that he doesn't trust, we need to replace them. We need to replace them with first team quality players. I don't want to, yes, it's great to bring in youngsters that have got potential, but we're at the top now. We need to stay there, and we need to be even better. So
I hope they do learn after that rebuild. After the last time we won it, like Sir Alex did for so many years, you build while you're on top. You make hay while the sun shines. Whatever analogy and euphemism you want to make. You absolutely have to do that. And I think hopefully FSG have learned from last time, where we went from winning the league to really struggling. Hopefully, with a new manager coming in, going, no, I don't want that one, don't want that one, don't want that one. We see. I mean, I can't say that I saw his time at Feyenoord, But people have said, at Feyenoord, he was ruthless in his second season. He was like, no, out the door, out the door, out the door. I want this, this, and this. And he got 2 back-to-back titles.
Yeah.
So we know that he can do it. Hopefully, he gets the backing. There's, for me, absolutely no excuse. We didn't spend any money last window.
Yeah.
We spent more on agent fees than we did transfer fees last summer.
Yeah.
So for me, it's there's no excuses. We've got to build again and go again. And I think teams around us will go again as well.
Yeah, no, they will do. I'm sure. Well, City already spent big in January. I think Arsenal will spend big again. But I think not only should we have money in the bank, waiting, because as you say, we've done nothing over the past couple of windows, and it will have been 2 years since we really bought a player that's considered a starting player. We've got a lot of quite saleable assets, which we can get some reasonable money for as well. So there should be a big kitty there. We just need to make sure that we invest it wisely.
Score prediction for tomorrow?
I'm going to go positive. I think it's time that there's a statement performance, and I'm going to say 4-0 to Liverpool.
Nice. I was having 4-0. I'll go 3-0 then. Just because I think the game might get wrapped up early on, and then at 60 minutes you'll start to see that slow fatigue legs perhaps coming in. And I just want a clean sheet. I know that we have had all right amount of clean sheets, I suppose, this season. And if Ali and Kelleher both combined have a good clean sheet total, I'd like to see a clean sheet against Leicester City. I think that would do wonders.
I think our defending over recent weeks has been quite sloppy, and I think the captain has not been as good as he can be. And I think Konate alongside him hasn't been as well. I do think they were a bit unsettled when we didn't have a recognised right back, and that's not a criticism of Curtis Jones because he did okay there, but I think it did unsettle the back line and particularly Konate.
Yeah, well, Konate's the one who comes across, isn't he, as well? So he's probably got in 2 minds, like,
exactly,
I've got to go over. He's playing in 2 positions in his head.
Yeah, agreed. So, I'd like, as you say, we've got a clean sheet against Everton. It felt great. It would be nice to once again get another clean sheet and get the 3 points, and then see what happens ahead of next week.
I know. Well, this time tomorrow we could be champions for the 20th time and extending our most successful team in England run. I think we're on 69 and Man United are on 68. Another reason why I don't want them to win the Europa League, because we can stretch 2 ahead of them. But again, that's the rivalry. Thanks for joining me, and it's been nice. It's been good to chat again and to be on stream. So I'm sure that we'll do it again. That's that. I literally have nothing else. It's all right doing 2, actually, to be fair.
Yeah, no,
we have 4, but
it's a nice conversation flow, doesn't it? So
you don't have to wait.
No, exactly.
That's good. All right. Well, thank you very much, mate. Have a great evening. And hopefully, like I say, this time, if not tomorrow, then certainly next week we'll be crowned champions. And I really hope you get to go to Spurs as well. That'll be fantastic.
Yeah.
Cool. All right then, mate. Take care of yourself. Thanks everyone else for watching. And for now and forever, up the Reds.